Hello and welcome to Brew Tapcast. I'm Tap here for another Flesh and Blood Monarch Pints and Previews video. We are on day 13 of Monarch Spoilers. We are just about to round the end of week 2. We got one more week left. We're going to see a bunch of the generics and stuff like that coming out next week. And we will wrap up the set with the following weekend being the pre-release. Hopefully you guys can get into a pre-release. I've got one close by that was sold out before I even knew it was happening there, so I'm maybe going to go and see if I can be a standby and see if they anyone doesn't show up or anything like that, see if I can get in there. But as long as you can be safe, get out there, have some fun, or if you can do it online, that would be even more spectacular. But that is all for the intro. Again, if you want to see previous spoiler videos, go ahead and check the links down below. They got all the wrap-ups for all the other days. But otherwise, let's just get right into it. We got a bunch of cards, more than usual today, so let's just jump right over to the cards. All right, so we have our Monarch page from the Flesh and Blood thing with all the spoilers. So this was yesterday's, so this is today's. Whole bunch of stuff here. And then we have Sunday and Monday as well. So definitely going to be excited to see those things. So let's just jump right into the cards right now. We have our first one from Outcast Haven. This is Herald of Erudition. This is a light illusionist attack action. This is a yellow pitch, majestic, 2-cost, 5 power, 3 defense, dominate card with Phantasm. So we know if you block 6 or more power is blocked, this just goes pop and nothing happens. It also says if Herald of Erudition hits, put it into your hero soul and draw 2 cards. So this is quite powerful. This is probably one of the better heralds we have seen so far. The fact that you can be the only problem is a little bit low power, but ultimately that's not that big of a deal. There's enough that you can maybe buff things up to make it a little bit more powerful. But because dominate, it's going to be harder to block a total of 5. But that's probably why they put it there. It's still 2 costs, isn't that bad, but having it, if it was 6 or if it was 7, it would have been like too powerful, I think, because then you can so much more often hit and draw those 2 cards. But essentially it replaces itself. So, and it goes to the soul. So like, boom, if you hit with it, you pitched something to play this, right? You played this. So there's 2 cards down. If this actually hits, it goes to your soul, so that's essentially like a pseudo card advantage. Plus, you get to draw 2 cards, so it replaces the pitch card and that. So you're basically could be up resources if you pitched a blue, still have 1 floating. So like, I love this card. I think it's great. I think it's super awesome. I think you're going to want to have the ability to buff it. I think that's really important, just because it's going to be super powerful to actually have it connect. So, because even if you spend a card to buff it, you're likely going to hit for more damage, and you're going to get those draw 2 cards. So it's essentially going to, if you pitch a blue, you have 1 remaining. Maybe you're playing a free buff, like a Courageous Steel Hand, or actually I think that only hits light or warrior now, I can't remember, but you theoretically are up. You still could be up cards, and or at least even on cards, and actually have had an attack and got something buffed into your soul zone. I call it soul zone, but I think it's great. I don't even think we need to talk about it. I think it's going to be awesome. I think you play it, you get it, you take it, you play it, you get after it. So that was from Outcast Haven. Our next one is RC Crew Hobbies and Games. This is Herald of Judgment. We have another 2-cost, 2-pitch. This is a rare 6 power, 3 defense. This is a Prism specialization, so only can have this in Prism decks. It has Phantasm as well, and I believe this will probably have a cycle, although I don't think they actually have cycles. You could just have it be 7 and 5 power, depending upon if it's red or blue. But I'm not really sure. These heralds seem to maybe not actually have multiple ones. We don't really know just yet. But this says, if Herald of Judgment hits, put it into your hero's soul, and the defending hero can't play cards from the banished zone until the end of their next turn. That's pretty good. So the power, there's a lot of unhit effects here. So it's really important that you have ways to buff these. I think particularly so better for the Herald Erudition. That one's like super powerful. This one's good, but it's actually pretty good. I would say that I think I like the other one a little bit higher, but this is still a very powerful card because if you're playing Shadow Heroes, that's actually really important. If you're playing Shadow Heroes, this is a much better card than it is if you're just playing other heroes. Because they can't play things from your banished zone, that's like super ultra mega powerful to shut that down, because if they're playing Shane, you just basically say, yeah, cool, you're going to, if you have any Soul Shackles, anything that gets exiled with Blood Debt, you're just going to take those hits. You can't play, like, Shane really likes to play them out of his banished zone. So this can be a really key card as a way to, like, boom, that could even end the game, theoretically, by knocking in for a little bit of damage, and then forcing him to take Blood Debt damage is actually pretty cool. A lot of their cards are work on that kind of thing. For Lavia, it's a little bit less powerful because, yes, they're probably going to have a lot more in your blood debt, but they can shut it off with their hero ability. So ultimately, it's not as powerful against Shadow Brute, but I think this is actually a really powerful card in general against Shadow Heroes because it's just great. I mean, it doesn't really do... It shuts down the Shane instant, the Eclipse, but it doesn't shut down Lavia because she can just have it for before this hits or on the end of their turn or whatever, or at the beginning of your turn, so they can just get it off anyways. So overall, pretty nice card against Shadow Heroes. Otherwise, Phantasm, again, all these cards with Phantasm, it's just really hard to know how powerful these are going to be. It's even meta dependent. That's really what it is. Or is it like you're going to fill out on the things that drop the Binding Light or Blinding Light, the ones that drop power on cards. It's really, really, really important to see how the meta will shake out, to see if these are going to be powerful. We just have to wait and see. All right, next one is from Yoda's Data or Spielfeel. Lots of fun, very much fun. Play fun, lots of play. We have Herald of Protection. This is a common, this is a red pitch version, costs 2, blocks for 3, attacks for 7 with Phantasm. And again, we don't really know if these are going to have cycles of the pitch values, but the other ones could be 6 and 5 depending upon their colors. If Herald of Protection hits, put it into your Hero Soul and create a Spectral Shield token. So we saw Spectral Shield tokens. Those are the things that Prism actually makes with her own hero ability. So that's pretty cool. I'm not so sure about this one. That's kind of expensive. 2 cost for, 7. Again, this is all depending upon actually if you can actually fulfill the attack that's happening. You know, if you're playing against someone who's going to routinely block with 6 power things, most of these are just going to be crap. I mean, yes, you're not losing too much resource, and you're going to probably want to load up on non-attack actions or attacks that are not Phantasm prior to doing this. And this is like the last thing you do in a turn. And I like that too because it does load you get other stuff. You're getting your soul filled and you're getting a Spectral Shield token. So I love the card. I just don't really know. We don't know if these are going to be really super playable. I think obviously some amount of saturation of these will get through. And I think that's part of where this really high strategy for Illusionist comes from, is that you got to make sure you're playing them in the right order so you can get the ones that matter through and get the ones out and soak up cards for the ones that don't. Up in the air. But I like the Spectral Shield. I'm still not entirely sure how useful or powerful they're going to be, because any amount of damage that you can't block is going to have these things pop. So it's just kind of an interesting sort of interplay there. Again, not so sure about different pitch values, but okay. Maybe not going to be constructed level, but limited seems fine. Seems great, especially against certain heroes where they draw poor hands and you're just smacking them for 7 for 2. Seems pretty good. All right. We have the Mighty Ape as our next preview spoiler. It is Herald of Triumph. We have this is a red pitch, 2 cost, 7 power, 3 defense, light illusionist attack action. Again, assuming that there is a different pitch values one, it'll be 7/6/5, I imagine. This says attack action cards have -1 while defending Herald of Triumph. If Herald of Triumph hits, put it in your Hero Soul. So, and it has Phantasm. I think this one is probably one of the better ones because it has the thing that matters for Phantasm built in. It's going to drop the power on the opposing or on the defending actions card's power, which is, every time we talk about these, it's like, oh my god, are these actually going to hit? Are they powerful enough? Can they make it through because of this Phantasm thing? Again, when you're playing against another Illusionist, it's just all bets are off. It's just going to be freaking haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. But for non-illusionist defenders, this is probably one of the better ones to sequence into more often because you're more likely to hit with this because it has built-in stuff. So now they have to have a 7 power card to actually block out and destroy the chain. So, to drop the chain. So I think this one's probably one of the better ones. I think it'll probably see more play than the other couple that we've seen before, except for that Majestic one. That Erudiation is just like, so good. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how these play out. All right, 2 more Heralds. We have NA card game. We have Herald of Rebirth. This is a red pitch, 2 cost, common, 7 power, 3 defense, Phantasm. Again, assuming there's pitch values, it'd be 7/6/5. If Herald of Rebirth hits, put it into your Hero Soul and put up to 1 card with Phantasm from your graveyard to the top of your deck. So this one seems kind of cool because we don't really know. I mean, we do believe, and I think strongly that this could be a control deck, a mid-range / control deck, because you're creating these things that soak up damage. You have stuff that maybe hits, maybe doesn't, or you can like really pick your time to strike and then just go wham and slam in for a big chunk of damage, get some power back, stuff like that. Also, notice that a lot of these have 3 power defense, so that's pretty good too. They're maxed out on their power level. So that's actually pretty exciting for these cards, and it allows you to play a longer game. And maybe this is one of those keys that you can get something that was really good with Phantasm, like Phantasmaclasm or something like that, that's really powerful, slap it right on top of the deck. I think that's actually a very possible play for this kind of long-range deck, and I think that remains to be seen if that's what we want to do. Again, Phantasm makes it a little bit weaker, but I think if you're playing this card, you likely have a lot of Phantasm cards in deck, and you're not going as much as into the aura weapon thing, more into a mixture middle ground of like aura weapon attack and then heralds and stuff like that. So I like it. I think it can definitely see play, and I think it's powerful on hit effects. And again, I love that all of these go into the soul. It's kind of like we were worried about that kind of stuff happening. Bolton has a much easier way to do it because you don't have to hit. You can choose to do something, but it takes something out of your hand. A lot of these are all just going to be boom. Did I hit? Go. Cool. Goes right in there. Obviously, you need to have that churning a little bit to make the game run. All right, sorry. Now we have 2 more heralds. My apologies. We have Kodak, who spoiled the Herald of Tenacity. This is a common red pitch, 2 cost, 6 power, 3 defense, Phantasm with Dominate, assuming 6/5/4 are the attack values. If Herald of Tenacity hits, put it into your Hero Soul. So this is just like the plain Jane one that has Dominate. And I'm not really sure if I like this one. It's expensive for a Dominate. I mean, yes, if you're not getting blocked out by 6 and popping the chain, it's just, okay, cool, you got hit for some damage. I mean, this is maybe your bread and butter, just trying to get stuff into your soul, because they will maybe not be able to block out all of the damage, especially in Limited. They're not going to block out all the damage unless they have like a great setup of defense reactions and stuff in Arsenal and stuff like that. But outside of that, it's just okay. It's one of the weaker ones because Dominate on something like this isn't that great. It's also kind of expensive because we've seen the other light illusionist attack actions are a little bit more powerful, more bang for the buck there. But I don't know, maybe it's okay. I'm not feeling it. We'll have to see how these really go. I don't think this is going to see a huge amount of play. Dominate's not that great for this kind of thing, but we'll have to see. I mean, maybe these are going to be a lot of pitch heavy things, and you pick when you're going to play them. So if there is a cycle of these, then it's kind of important to go in that regard. But who really knows? Although it also looks like he has like a weird fancy tea kettle on the top of his head. That's just me. I don't know. I like tea. What can I say? All right, our last herald, herald is Unplugged Games Wartune Herald. That is the final one, and I actually like this one pretty well. This is your bread and butter one. You can't get any better than this. So this is a red one, so it's a 1 pitch, 1 cost, 7 power, 3 defense, Phantasm. If it hits, it goes to your soul. That's it. Probably going to be 6/5 for the other 2 pitch colors, but this is the one I want to see the most because it's 1 cost, and then coming in for 7. So again, if you can play this, hold up something to help make sure that the Phantasm doesn't pop the chain, you can get in, you're feeding your soul. It's quite nice. 7 is a little bit harder to block outright too, so they can block with multiple cards. Maybe they're still going to get hit with something, so that's pretty cool. And like, honestly, if you're blocking 6, you're doing this wrong, because you probably want to sacrifice that last card or piece of armor or whatever to get this, or to not have this go into the hero soul, because it is kind of somewhat powerful. It allows them to do nothing with, if they block, if like the illusionist is blocking a lot each hand or each turn, and then using their hero ability to banish something out of their soul and get a spectral shield, you're just feeding them that. So like, you might as well block with that 3rd card or piece of equipment or something to really notch that down, because they can always come back and do something with their next turn if they have stuff in their soul. This art's freaking beautiful though. Like this freaking awesome sword, all these flames. It's huge. All these are really huge. If you look in the landscape and stuff like that, we have people that are really teeny around there too. So, all right. So the last set of spoilers came from open boosters. Big Magic, Fab, Pokemon, all bunch of stuff. They open all kinds of boosters. That's what they do. And they opened some boosters. So Legendary Studios sent them boosters. They sent them a Shadow and a Light one to open. And boy, that's pretty cool. That's really exciting. I thought that was really great in flavor. Awesome. So we're going to knock these out. There are a couple cards that are new here. So yeah, speed round. So Take Flight is the first one. As initial cost to play Take Flight, you may charge your hero soul. This is a 1 cost, 1 pitch value. So it's a red one, 4 power, 3 defense, common, likely going to be 4/3/2 for the powers of these. And then it says if you charge this turn, Take Flight gains go again. So Seems like a bread and butter filler card. Not excited to play it, but probably only would want to play the red one. It's a charge enabler that's pretty cheap. It's not free, but it's pretty cheap. But it's going to cost 3 cards from your hand to play this, because you have to play this, you have to pitch for it, and then you have to charge if you want to charge. So this is a nice way to start your charge turn. Then maybe you can use leftover resources and other cards to be swinging in with weapons, maybe multiple times, something like that with Bolton. So that seems pretty good. Outside of that, like, this can be like a last thing you do, or the only thing you do if you just want to do a little bit of something. Like if you're just trying to like blow up some spectral shields or some of those goofy aura, instant aura things that are really powerful on the illusionist side. This is some cheap way to do that. Also charges your soul. So if you're looking to maybe have a little bit of a lower power turn, not go so wide, just sort of knock out stuff like that, that can be pretty cool as well. Next one, we have Adrenaline Rush. So this is a blue pitch, 2 cost, 2 attack, 2 defense, generic attack action. When you play Adrenaline Rush, if you have less life than your opposing hero, it gains +3. So assuming that the other versions are going to be 4 and 3 power, this is kind of in the middle. Like, I think a 2 power attack for 7 damage is pretty good. This is probably going to be a shadow, more played in the shadow decks, just because they're likely to have less life because of all the blood debt damage they are taking. So in that regard, that's not too shabby. It's not super great that it also doesn't help you when you're trying to defend against Illusionist, because it's only 2 power on its actual base. You have to play to get that buff, or 4 power if you're talking about the red one. Otherwise, I think it's just a generic card that is going to be okay to put in limited, and I don't know if it'll really see a whole lot of play. I guess you could be sideboarding this in against Shadow because it can be a relatively cheap cost 7 power attack, but you know, I'm not over the moon for this thing, but we'll have to see how it goes. I also am interested to see who this character is. Sani, cut off the Scara's head, and it shall still find the strength to bite. It's a pretty cool looking. I'm assuming that's not really a brute. We don't really know who these people are. They're like the people that are called like savages, but they're not like the brutes. So not really sure. But on to the next one. We have 4 or 5 more cards. We have Seek Horizon. This is the yellow version, so 2 pitch value, 0 cost, 3 power, 2 defense, rare. So probably going to have a 4 and a 2 for the other 2 powers. It says, as additional cost to play Seek Horizon, you may put a card from your hand on top of your deck. If you do, Seek Horizon's gains go again. I think this is actually pretty powerful. Particularly so if you're looking to play the Shadow decks because, sorry, I say Shadow Brute because you want to know what's on top of your deck. To trigger Levia with a draw a discard random card, things like that. Good for Azalea as well. It seems super cool. I think it's pretty powerful. The 0 cost is like primo, and it's an optional thing. You don't have to slam that card on the top of your deck. You can choose to, and if you do, go again. So it brings you down a card, but it gives you go again. I think it's pretty nice. Again, I think Shadow heroes, particularly the Brute. And I guess if you're playing Shane, you also maybe like, oh, I don't want this card, I want it in my blood debt, just like slam it on top, then it gets exiled if you have any soul shackle, stuff like that. But otherwise, I also want to point out the picture of what we're seeing is Mysteria, right? Obviously. And this flavor text is, they hear the distant echoes of a rising storm and know that their days of peace are numbered. I think that's really cool because maybe this is foreshadowing what we're going to see in Kingdoms. Maybe Kingdoms will literally be all the lands together will be in this big old embroiled in this big war. I'm not so sure that this same light versus shadow thing will be happening during Kingdoms. I'm assuming it's probably going to be resolved, or at least it will be a different kind of battle when it comes to Kingdoms. But that makes sense too. The Kingdoms, all the places are all going to be involved, stuff like that. So pretty cool card. Next one, Hungering Slaughterbeast. We have a Shadow Brute attack action, 1 pitch value, 2 cost, 7 power, 3 defense with blood debt. So most likely see 7, 6, 5 as the 3 things. It says, as an additional cost to play Hungering Slaughterbeast, banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. So this is doing the thing that you want to do. You're feeding out blood debt because you want to have these big attacks. But this actually doesn't seem all that great. It's harder to remember now all the cards that we have here. But I feel as though I can't remember if we really want an enabling card to really shove things into the blood or into your banish zone. I feel like we saw a lot of stuff while we were in that spoiler season, that first week for Levia. Maybe this one's kind of expensive because this is generally the banishing things to your banish zone is a little bit expensive because you might not have a lot there. But she generates her own things by discarding. But I still think that this paired with a 2 costing is kind of on the expensive side. I'm not really sure we want that. But I think we'll have to sort of play it out and see. Maybe you're only going to play the red pitch because you want to have that high power. Maybe you play the yellow pitch because it is still 6, and that's kind of important. Outside of that, not too much to say about that. Probably just like, you know, your normal bread and butter for limited Shadow Brute, stuff like that. All right, we got 3 more. We have Stony Woottonhoge. This is a blue pitch, 2 cost, 4 power, 2 defense, generic attack action. Likely going to see a 5 and 6 attack for the other ones. I doubt it'll plus the ability here, which is, well, Stony Woottonhoge is defended by less than 2 non-equipment cards. It has +1. So there's kind of like that brute barraging beatdown thing where it gets buffed if it's blocked by less than 2 things. But I could see it being okay. The red one costs 2, attacks for 6, potentially 7. You know, isn't that like the barraging bighorn or whatever that big card was from WTR? I think it's playable. Again, this is seems like a limited focus card. I don't really see this anywhere else. Because it is on the expensive side and only blocks for 2 as most generics do. Granddad Warthog leads the way. That's the flavor text. That's big old Granddaddy Warthog. Okay, that is that card. Again, not much to say about that one. Our next one is Overload. So this is an interesting card. So it's a 0 cost. This is the blue pitch one. Attacks for 1, blocks for 2 with Dominate. And if it hits, it gains Go Again. So I think this can actually have some implications that are pretty good. Because it is free, you're going to... And with Dominate, this is really probably going to get powered up by stuff like Razor Reflex or Nimblism if you want to get that Go Again. I'm not saying like that's what you want to spend your cards on, because it's like kind of like, ooh, wow, oh boy, exciting. I dominated my 3 attack, like cool. So like most of the cards in your hand are gonna be able to block it outright, anyways. But this also might just be cool if you're looking to do like a couple non-attack actions beforehand, and maybe you're playing against an illusionist and you just want to attack something to cause them to pop. So like you can attack those instant auras that we saw yesterday. If you just want to pop them, you just boom, I'm gonna attack. That causes the pop trigger, so the chain blows up and it destroys it. I think I like it for that reason. Outside of that, like I can see maybe if there's a really like one that you want to go wide and powerful, maybe like you're playing a certain class that this is just an enabler card that will allow you to get to the further things. Like maybe you're playing a ninja and you're like, cool, Kodachi for 1 or 2, depending on the ninja you're playing, and then Overload just to like keep that sort of rhythm going. And maybe they've blocked things earlier, and maybe you have something that you're looking to try to get. So get 2 after this, and maybe you have a Razor Reflex for playing that, so you can slam in for some actual damage and get Go Again for all a pretty low amount of cost there, but probably don't want to go any more into that. All right, last card, and this one, I'm actually kind of excited because I really love the art in this one. This is Tremor of Erythiel. I don't know how to say that. That is a tough looking word there. This is the blue pitch, 1 cost, 2 attack, 2 defense, generic attack action. It has text, if a card has been put into your banish zone this turn, Tremor of Erythiel gains +2 power. So that's pretty cool. No Go Again or anything like that, so not super powerful. I assume that the other pitch values will be 3 and 4 damage, which is okay. A 1 cost, 6 damage is pretty good. If you're playing a Shadow here, you're going to be banishing stuff pretty often. Like if you're Shane, it's happening most likely every turn, so it's always turned on, which is kind of nice. And so I think it's just kind of a place filler. I think this is more of a limited base card for those. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to see play outside of that, but I think we'll have to see how things go overall and then what other generics there are. But before we end, I want to talk about the art. I love this art. I was super pumped about this art. It was like the first one. It was like that, and there's that weird like dude who's looking in the mirror, those creepy monsters, and his eyes are bleeding. That one's pretty exciting too. But like this one's also super exciting. And it doesn't speak to me as a card that is really focused on the Monarch here and now. I think this is more of a plant for the future of the game, the next sets or whatever. Like this doesn't have the color scheme. Like obviously something is happening. It says in the flavor text, as the gateway opens, the shattered shards collide, echoes resonating within the dissonant heartbeat. So we know that the shadow beasts and things like that, these heroes are bringing from a different plane. They're not coming from under the ground. So in that case, it's not like the same sort of thing that we're seeing here. Yes, there's a little shadowy dude over there to the left. It's harder to see now, but you can see that over the left. And I think that that's really neat and like speaks to like maybe what's happening. Like maybe like we're going to have this, and I want to say Guardians are going to be in whatever set this is trying to show us sort of a premonition for, because they're like all about the earth and the power of the earth and that kind of stuff, which totally light Guardian better be a frickin' druid, just saying. But I think this is really cool art. I really like it. I think it's a plant for future stuff going on in future sets. But all right, that is going to be all for the spoilers today. We had a lot of cards, so definitely happy to look at all those. We saw the cool art that we had there as well. So more spoilers to come for the following week leading up to pre-release. So I hope everyone's getting pumped. I'm super excited about this set. I like every time there's a new hero spoiler, I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna go totally into this. I'm gonna play this all the time, and then I'm like, oh cool, there's a new hero. I'm gonna do this one actually. Never mind. I think I'm falling with right now. I'm Shane and Prism. I think Prism's just a new kind of playstyle that I think is kind of exciting. So I kind of like that. And then Shane's just kind of neat. I was drawn to Rune Blades in the beginning with Viscerai, but the play is like kind of nice because it's a mix of arcane and not. But like right now I'm on Dash and that's kind of exciting. But anyways, I just want to play them all. This game seems so much fun. This set seems really awesome. So that is all for the preview. So check more out coming next week. But for right now, this is Tap saying thank you so much. Cheers and goodbye.